So, hello, everybody, and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Looking back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Wednesday, August 4th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, August 4th here today, coming off of a Yankees win last night, 13-1 over the Baltimore Orioles. And as I mentioned yesterday, it was not a good game on Monday. Took a very bad loss. I said yesterday we needed to rebound. We needed to find a way to get a win, and we did rebound. We did bounce back, and we were able to go out and get the win, 13-1. And it was, great production throughout the lineup. And like I said, I wanted us to sweep the Orioles. I was hoping we were going to sweep the Orioles. It makes today's matchup a rubber game of the 3-game set. Go for the series win today. And then I feel like once this series is over, you take this series and forget about it. It's an interesting one. You lose the first game. You blow them up yesterday, and now whatever happens today, and then you got to get focused on Seattle, because Seattle's going to be a really interesting team. They're a team battling for a playoff spot just like us. They made some moves at the trade deadline, some questionable ones, but at the end of the day, they are still a very good team. They come in for a 4-game set after today. So the Yankees got a good win last night. Happy about it, excited, good win, 13-1, most runs we've scored in a game this season, so glad we got the win. I did not want to see us lose, and nor do I ever want to see us lose, but especially last night. If we lost last night and we lose the series, and even if we would have won today, it would have been like, did we really just lose the series to Baltimore Orioles? We got to win today, so happy about the win. Good win. Stanton, Judge coming up with some home runs. I believe they were the only ones. LeMahieu, all the talks about him and his struggles, he was able to get going last night. I feel like everyone was able to get going last night. And I was talking to someone during the game, like, those are the games that higher batting average. Those are the games where you start to get good swings. Those are the really good games. And Luis Gil, who coming in after a really bizarre turn of events with Cole and Monty going on the COVID list, comes in from Scranton, AAA, and just shuts down the Orioles. And I don't care it's the Orioles. Andrew Heaney got lit up by them last night, or Monday night rather. So I don't care it's the Orioles. Luis Gil in his debut was dominant. 6 innings, 4 hits. I think he might have only walked like one guy, or maybe even no walks. I don't know. No hits. No hits. No runs allowed. Like 6, 7 strikeouts, something like that. I don't remember the exact line, but he was dominant last night. He got the win. 6 innings, 6 really strong innings. I believe he's our number 1 pitching prospect and our number 4 prospect overall. So he's got a bright future ahead of him, and, we did set him back down, but I believe if he could be back up soon. And he had the other minor leaguers come in, and they pitched also very well, so only limited him to 1 run. So the minor leaguers, the young guys, got the job done. You love to see that. So Yankees got the win yesterday. They finish up the series today with the rubber game of the 3-game set tonight against the Orioles. The Mets lose again to the Marlins. So they lose again to the Marlins. 3rd game of the 4-game set today. They got to find a way to win today, because if they don't win today, then that pretty much just makes tomorrow's game the avoid the sweep type game. So they get the 3-game of the 4-game set today. 3rd game of the 4-game set, rather. Like I said, Yankees wrap up their series against Baltimore tonight. 3rd game of the 3-game set. So glad to see the Yankees get the win. Got to find a way to get the win tonight. Tyone, who was the pitcher of the month in the American League for the month of July, takes the mound tonight, has been really dominant. And Matt Harvey takes the mound for the Baltimore Orioles. So I feel pretty confident going against Matt Harvey, but we'll see. So Yankees tonight, Mets tonight. That's really what's on tap for baseball. Let's get to the topics for today's podcast. Another packed podcast as always. I was going to talk about Tyone, but there's so much NBA stuff to get to. I wanted to get to some NBA stuff. I figured I've got so much time to talk about Tyone. You know, if he has a good performance today, I figured I'll probably talk about it tomorrow, depending on obviously whatever happens else in the sports world. So I figured, there's still a lot more, opportunities to talk about Tyone with, even just the start tonight. If he pitches well tonight, I was going to talk about him tomorrow. And any starts any starts throughout the rest of the season if he has any good starts. So I figured there's plenty more time to talk about Tyone. So if Tyone has a good performance today, I was probably going to talk about him tomorrow. Because I might get to some other NBA topics, but those could be spread out throughout the weeks in here. So this is what I want to get to today. So the Nets have signed Patty Mills. So the Brooklyn Nets have agreed to a 2-year, $12 million contract with Patty Mills. A solid depth addition rather, and a solid move for the Brooklyn Nets. So I wanted to get into this move, get into some other than Nets moves as well, not just strictly talk about this move, but also kind of want to get into some other than Nets free agency update. Yesterday I talked a lot about what the Knicks did, because they were a little more active yesterday in terms of re-signing and signing. Nets were a little more quiet. Really all that happened yesterday was Jeff Green got signed. Jeff Green signed with the Denver Nuggets, which I'm upset about because I like Jeff Green a lot, but at the end of the day, you can't retain everyone. So I want to get to Patty Mills, get to the Nets, what he brings to the table, just his overall ability to play, his strengths, weaknesses, all that stuff. I don't think I've ever talked about Patty Mills on this podcast, so kind of want to introduce him and talk about him as he ends his, after 10 seasons with the Spurs. I wanted to get to him. So Nets sign Patty Mills. Then the next topic will be another basketball topic. Warriors extend Stephen Curry. Steph Curry just got paid. 4 years, $215 million, I think. And I found this really cool stat. Not really a stat, but it's a number. It's the different part of his contract. I found how much he's making, obviously overall, how much he's making per year, how much he's making per game, and how much he's making per minute. So I found this thing where it really broke down his contract. I wanted to get into how much he's making a year, how much he's making overall, making a year, making a game, making every minute of the NBA game. It's a lot. It really is. So Stephen Curry got extended. I'll talk about it. You're probably going to... I don't see why someone would disagree with this move. He's arguably he is the best shooter in the NBA. He's the best shooter of all time. I don't see why anyone would even argue with this move at all. So I want to get into this, what it means, and maybe also some other moves the Warriors could look to make. And then we'll finish off the podcast with a New York sports update. As always, finish it all off. You know the drill. No need to say it every single day. Fantasy baseball looking pretty good. I did not end up dropping Johnny Cueto, and I regret that decision. I knew it. I should have picked up Adrian Hauser. He had a very good performance, 18 points. Cueto only got me 3. So I was talking to someone yesterday too about it, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to drop Cueto. And I never did, because I just never did. I didn't forgot, I just never dropped him. And I should have, but I'm still winning in fantasy baseball, so that's going for me. And then the Yankees and Mets play today, like I said. Yankees going for the series win. Mets just trying their best to find a way to win today and make tomorrow's game go for the series split. If you lose today, you got to win tomorrow then, because you cannot go into Miami and get swept in 4 games. You just can't do that. So we'll see how that all unfolds there. But the Mets it's going to be a good pitching matchup today. Zach Thompson, who's had a pretty good season, ERA below 3, I think like a 2.35, and Carrasco just made his start a couple days ago. He's got like a 2.25. He started 1 game and he did his job. So gonna probably be a good pitching matchup there as well. But yeah, with all that being said, that's what's on top for today's podcast. And with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get into it. So Patty Mills, the Nets agreed to 2-year, $12 million contract after 10 seasons with Spurs. Yes, you have heard that right. The Brooklyn Nets have made a off-season acquisition, signing Patty Mills here, obviously, throughout the league. There's been so many big moves. We'll get to Stephen Curry. I don't want to touch too much on it right now because we'll get to him in the second topic of this podcast. But there's been a lot of moves. You obviously get into, the Nets signing Patty Mills, the Bulls going all out and getting DeMar DeRozan, the Lakers going all out. They got Carmelo Anthony. They got Kendrick Nunn. They got Malik Monk. Add on to Westbrook and Anthony Davis, and already, obviously got LeBron James and all those guys over there. The Sixers signing Andre Drummond. There was still a ton of moves yesterday throughout the league. Still a ton of moves I would assume to come because there's still a lot of free agents. I talked a lot about it yesterday, about all the different moves that were made, but just give you a few that happened yesterday. Bulls going all out. They're trying to buy. They're trying to get into the playoffs. Vucevic, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, and their newest addition of DeMar DeRozan, and obviously they got LaVine too. I believe that was on Monday when free agency all opened up. So there's been a ton of moves. Obviously the Knicks making some moves, not major ones, but making some little moves here and there. And the Brooklyn Nets as well are making some moves. Nothing major. We don't expect them to make any major moves. We don't expect them to go out and make a big splash, trade for Damian Lillard, sign Kawhi Leonard. We don't expect that. Those are the big names. Those are the big guys that teams are looking at. We don't expect the Brooklyn Nets to do that. The Brooklyn Nets had their big offseason a couple years ago when they acquired Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and then most recently at the trade deadline of this NBA season, or not trade deadline, well, more so just during the middle of the year, they acquired James Harden from the Houston Rockets. We all know in that three-team deal. So they have a big three right now. They're not going out and going to try and go all in because they've already pretty much went all in. They just need some other surrounding pieces to officially do that. And that's what I said last season with the Brooklyn Nets. Their big three, if they can stay healthy, they're going to win a championship. The issue is they were not able to stay healthy. And the issue is their bench was kind of weak last season. They had a couple guys coming off the bench that could give you productive minutes, but the ratio of good players to players that aren't going to give you very quality minutes was not even. The Nets had a couple guys come off the bench give you quality minutes, but other than that, they were not able to get enough bench presence. And that's why the Nets went out and signed Patty Mills. That's also why we went out and signed a guy, re-signed Bruce Brown. Also why we went out and re-signed Blake Griffin. We did lose Jeff Green, but we do gain Patty Mills. We do lose Spencer Dinwiddie. But like I said, we are able to gain Bruce Brown and Patty Mills, and we're able to bring back Blake Griffin. And we played without Dinwiddie pretty much that entire year last year. So it's almost like Dinwiddie's already missed. He's already been gone from the Nets for already a year now, which is why I think a lot of people are stressing over Dinwiddie leaving. But to be honest, he missed all last year, except 2 games, all but 3 games or whatever. So people are thinking they're stressing over it. It's not like last season he played a key role. He got injured in the third game of the season. He was out for the rest of the year. So, we'll never know if he was able to come back for the finals or whatever. That still would have been undetermined. But still, he was out for pretty much the whole season outside of 2-3 games. So, the Brooklyn Nets go out and sign Patty Mills. Like I just mentioned with our bench. Our bench last season was a little weak. We did get some production from guys like TLC, and, you even go deeper on the bench, Alize Johnson got you some minutes, late in games, if it was a blowout. Tyler Johnson got some minutes in there. He actually got an extended role. I am not a big fan of Tyler Johnson, but he did get an extended role. He was a guy the Nets like to rely on a little bit more than some of the other guys. And then you really look at the core on the bench, and that was Jeff Green. Jeff Green actually started some of the games. But you go into even, Blake Griffin and some guys like that, Bruce Brown switching on and off. He was sometimes in the rotation, sometimes coming off the bench. It was like a 50-50. And even when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden aren't out there, you need to rely on those other guys to produce. And that's why the Nets go out here and sign Patty Mills. Patty Mills, his entire career, he has not been a starting asset. He's not a guy that's going to go out and play 45 minutes. He's a guy that comes off the bench. And he's been doing that now for his entire career. He's come off the bench, and he gives you production off the bench. He'll give you 25, 27 minutes a game, and he'll score. He will dish out assists. He's not going to shoot at a high clip. He's not going to score at a high clip. That's not his game. He can play solid defense. He's kind of like a 3-and-D guy in a little bit. He's not a great three-point shooter, but he'll play defense. He'll get on the other end, and he'll score here and there. He's a veteran presence in a locker room. He gives you bench depth. That's kind of what Patty Mills brings to the table. And that's kind of what the Nets exactly need. And with us losing Spencer Dinwiddie, who I said I wasn't crazy upset about losing Dinwiddie, still though, we lost Spencer Dinwiddie, you now bring in Patty Mills. And in a way, I feel like Patty Mills might be a little bit better of a fit for this Brooklyn Nets team than what Dinwiddie was. And I'll tell you why right now. A lot of Net fans will disagree with me with this, but this is just me. Like I said, I'm not a basketball expert. I'm not an expert in anything. Everyone always makes mistakes and maybe, has different opinions on things. One thing I do notice, though, when I watch Spencer Dinwiddie, he tries to be a ball-dominant player. He tries to be a player that he's turning into a player that relies too much on having the ball. Right? A guy who really doesn't make a difference unless if he has the ball. Now, you could say that about a lot of players, but not necessarily. What about the guys that are really good defenders? They don't have the ball when they're on defense. What about the guys that are really good assist man? They don't shoot. They don't need the ball all the time. They dish out assists. They find guys open. He's turning into a ball-dominant player, which means a guy that likes to have a ball, a guy that's going to shoot, a guy that's not going to pass very much, a guy that's going to try to drive, a guy that's going to do anything in his power to score. And the Brooklyn Nets already had three of those guys, and Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, James Harden. It's not a bad thing to be a ball-dominant player. You could say over half the NBA is. Because, if you go through the teams and you look at their star player, more than likely they're a ball-dominant player. The last thing you need on a roster is a fourth guy that is trying to be a ball-dominant player. Now, Harden, KD, and Kyrie have all adjusted to play with each other's styles because they each have different styles, but they're all in the same area of they need the ball in order to really make a difference. And they've been able to adjust. Harden's adjusted. He hasn't shot as much. He passes more now. He facilitates a little more now. He spreads defenders out. He looks for the open guy now. In Houston, he was more of a shooter. He's changed his type of game. So I actually agree. I actually think it's kind of the right thing not to go all out on a Spencer Dinwiddie when you really already have guys that are, are ball-dominant players and can do a lot of stuff with the ball. Instead, we go out and get a guy like a Patty Mills who can make a difference even without the basketball. Setting a screen, cutting to the hoop, making a play on defense here or two. Is he going to light you up from three? No. Is he going to put up 20 a night? No. Is he going to play a ton of minutes? No. He'll probably play about 25 to 27 minutes. He'll play, you need him to come off the bench. I would assume, I don't know if he's going to be the sixth man off the bench. I'm not sure. But he can come off the bench for you and give you big minutes. Or not big minutes. He can come off the bench for you, give you solid minutes, rather. I don't know what the Nets are going to do. I don't know if they're going to put him as sixth man or if they're going to do Griffin or if they're going to do I don't know what the role is. Because the Nets also have to figure out a center. The starting lineup last season, if I remember, it was Joe Harris, the big three, obviously Harden, KD, Kyrie, and then Bruce Brown. And even sometimes I think Jeff Green got a start here and there. I don't know if Blake Griffin ever got a start. I'm not sure. I don't remember everything about it. But that was like their normal starting five. I think throughout the playoffs, that was their starting five. The big three, KD, Harden, Kyrie. And then you go Bruce Brown and Joe Harris. Now, Joe Harris struggled, but they still had him in there. Then your bench was like Griffin, Green. You had guys like TLC and Tyler Johnson. I guess you could kind of say Green or Griffin was like your sixth man. That was in the playoffs, though. Earlier in the year, you didn't really have a sixth man. You had many guys coming in and out of it. And now that's really another thing I like about this move is like now you kind of officially have a sixth man in Patty Mills. A guy who you can rely on coming off the bench. Not a guy who you're kind of finicky, okay, let's put him into the game and see what he does. All right, when this is what Patty Mills is. Okay, simple as this. He played 10 seasons with the Spurs, so he's a veteran. He's been in the league, I think he's 32 years old. This is what he is. He's very good on catch and shoot. That is one thing he's very good at. Catch and shoot threes at a very high clip for him. You find him open from three, he will make it. It's just a matter of if he tries to create space and shoot on his own, he probably won't make all those. But catch and shoot threes, he is good. This is what you're getting at Patty Mills. You're getting a guy that's a solid defender, a guy that will defend, which the Nets need, a guy that... the Nets need a little bit, especially losing Jeff Green, who was actually pretty physical last season. Bringing Blake Griffin and Bruce Brown back, they're very good on defense. And actually, throughout the playoffs last season, the Nets were good on defense. They were. It was the offense that was the concern due to all the injuries. So you obviously have a guy that's going to come off the bench here. He's going to give you quality minutes. He's going to make some shots. He'll assist, not a major assist, 3-4 assists a game probably. Maybe get up there in the 5-6 range. Earlier in his career, he was more of a guy that'll dish out assists. Rebounds, he's not a guy that's going to sit here and put up 10 boards a game. He'll get in there, maybe get 1 or 2 boards a game just like any other guy, and that's what he'll do. He's not going to let you up from 3. He's not going to let you up shooting-wise. He is going to be solid on defense, so it's not like it's a concern lighting. It's not like it's a liability on defense. He can start. I believe in his career, out of like all the games he's played, he started about 75 of them. So it's not like this is a guy who doesn't start. He has started. Just the majority of his career has been coming off the bench. And hey, you can make a living off of that. I mean, there's guys that come off the bench in their career. People don't realize how big bench players are. You look at your starting lineup and you're like, oh yeah, that's really good. Then you look at your bench, and if your bench is thin, well, you're not going to get anywhere. Look at the Bucks. Pure example. Their bench came out big, I believe. Not Eric Bledsoe. Bobby Portis, I believe he came off the bench. Not sure about everyone else. I'd have to look at the lineup, but the Bucks got some big production off their bench, and they won the finals. You look at teams that get production off their bench. You look at teams that get production up and down their order. Those are the teams that go far. Bench assets are much needed in the NBA. Guys that can come off the bench, be ready, and give you 25 to 30 really quality minutes. Night in and night out. And Patty Mills can be that sixth man for the Nets. He can be that guy that can, be annoying on defense a little bit to opposing teams where, he could stop you. Is he a is he a shutdown defender? No, but he can really, he can go back and forth. He could cause chaos on the defensive end for opposing teams, and he can also score, and he can do a couple different things on offense. If you follow what I'm saying. I pretty much said it. Not lighting him up from 3, not letting him up shooting-wise. 10, 12 points a night. Just what the Nets need. Really is. I said that too. When the Nets drafted, I said we needed a role player. I said a guy that can give us 12, 15 points a night. That's all. Patty Mills can do that. He's a career, I think, 10 points per game shooter, which is what a lot of bench players are. So, and a guy, too, I believe a couple times has been in the running for Sixth Man of the Year, which is technically the award for Best Bench Player of the Year, for best guy that gives you the most production off the bench. I don't like to say bench player, because it's not like, I don't like to say bench player, because they're not on the bench. It's like, Sixth Man of the Year awards, like pretty much the best guy that, coming off the bench, he's the best guy. And he's been in the running for that a couple times. I don't think he's ever won it, but he's been in the running. He's also a champion, so... not that this locker room needs much of winning attitude because, Kevin Durant's already won before, Kyrie's won before, Harden's never won before, but he's been to the playoffs a lot of time. Guy does bring, some winning experience, especially coming from the Spurs, a team that has been very successful recently, and now they're finally starting to rebuild. So Nets sign Patty Mills. So Patty Mills, Nets agreed to 2-year, $12 million contract after 10 seasons with Spurs. That's another thing, too. It's a 2-year, $12 million deal. This isn't like a move that the Nets are going all in. He's 32 years old. At the end of this deal, he'll be 34. The Nets are getting probably 2 quality years out of him, and after that, who knows what happens if he decides to retire, whatever the case is. But the Nets are getting him towards the tail end of his career, but they're getting him where he's kind of, this is it. Like, he's going all out now. Like, this is it. He's 32, finding anything he has left and put it into these 2 seasons with the Nets. Patty Mills' 10-year stint with the San Antonio Spurs is over. Like I said, too, that's another thing. Like, he was consistent with the Spurs. Like, he was there for 10 years. It's not like this is a guy that's bounced around the league. He's been consistent with the Spurs for 10 seasons. So definitely a guy that's been reliable. Very reliable. The 32-year-old has agreed to a 2-year, $12 million deal with the Brooklyn Nets per ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Mills spent the first 2 seasons of his career with the Portland Trailblazers before playing with the Spurs for his last 10. He posted 10.8 points per game on 41.2% shooting, 37.5% from three-point range, and 24.8 minutes per game last year. He's been a key member of the Spurs rotation for much of his career and had a role on the 2014 NBA championship team and the 2013 championship finalists. Mills, who played college ball at St. Mary's, was selected number 55 in the 2009 draft by the Blazers. He didn't see the court much in Portland, and he found his way to San Antonio as a free agent in 2012. The Australian has been through there ever since, providing three-point shooting prowess. 38.8% for his career off the bench, which is decent. Like I said, it's not nothing that's going to light you up, but, it's not awful. He'll, like I said, his catch and shoot's very good. He'll make a three here and there. In Brooklyn, he'll join Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant on what the Nets hope will be a championship journey. While playing time will likely be limited to backup minutes behind Mills could increase his value with a big playoff showing. The Nets already made headway in building their roster this offseason by re-signing Blake Griffin to a one-year deal. They also went out and re-signed Bruce Brown. I believe Bruce Brown was actually made during this move, so I'm kind of surprised they did not do that. But we re-signed Bruce Brown, re-signed Blake Griffin, did lose Jeff Green, did lose Dinwiddie, but I think Dinwiddie might be in a sign-and-trade move, I think, right now. I'm not sure, but I know he's probably going to go to the Wizards. And we gained Patty Mills. So that's another thing, too. In the playoffs, too, you get a guy that's going to give you quality minutes in the playoffs. And actually, that's something the Nets struggled with last season. In the playoffs, when they were getting injured, you need a backup. A lot of people don't realize that, too. The Nets struggled last season staying healthy and staying on the court. They're big three. Durant, Irving, Harden. Harden, it's a little hard to say because he came halfway through the year. So even if he was able to stay healthy without the hamstring, he still would have only played, 40 games with the Nets maybe, because he came in the middle of the year. Not exactly smack dab in the middle, but the first part of the season he was with the Rockets. So he came during the middle of the year. And, the Nets, Kyrie Irving, obviously getting ankle injury. Now, Kyrie can't do anything about that. He landed on the guy's foot, his ankle injury. That was a bad ankle injury. The hamstring stuff and just stuff like that, that's just the stuff that you can't do anything about, but those are the frustrating injuries. Like Kyrie's extremely unfortunate. He landed on the guy's ankle. That happens all the time in the NBA. Hamstring injuries and all this other stuff, those are the frustrating ones. Those are the ones really this could have been avoided, but just didn't. So that's been one of the concerns too with the Nets is if they can stay healthy. The health is a big question. And the last season we saw when all the big three wasn't healthy, the bench had to step up, but then you started to see some of the holes on our bench. So getting Patty Mills is like a safety blanket for that bench. Right? He's not going to get major minutes, which is what I said. Net fans, I think, are thinking that he's going to get major minutes. He's not going to get major minutes. He's going to come off the bench. He's going to be kind of the backup guard type guy, and he could do a couple different things. But he now adds a safety blanket to that bench. Worst case scenario, one of your big guys go down. Well, not that Patty Mills is going to do what that guy was able to do, produce that much, but he's going to be able to be much better than some of these other guys on the bench. And he's been able to be in that role already. He can also start. He has started, I think, 75 games in his career, which might seem like a lot, but he's played over 700, so it's really not. But it's not like starting a foreign language to him. He has started before. I believe a couple years ago, I'll get to his numbers in a second, he started 30 games, I think, with the Spurs, in 2017, I think. I'm not sure exactly when. A guy, too, who's always ready. If a guy goes down, he's ready. He's ready to step up. That's another thing, too, with him. In 2017-2018 season, he started 36 games. So he's actually started 57 games in his career. I apologize. 75 games. I mixed up the numbers. He has started 56 games in his career. 36 of those came in one season. So, he doesn't start much. Last season, he started one game, and pretty much other than that, he started other games. And there's a couple years here where he never come off the bench. Where he never starts, rather. 51 games played, comes off the bench all those games. He's been a bench asset. That was also a season where I believe he might have been injured because he only averaged about 15 minutes a game. So he's a bench asset as well. And, he's kind of a safety blanket on the bench. And it's a low-risk move, too. He's a veteran, 32 years old. He's been in the league. I don't think the expectations is sky high for him. It's kind of a low risk. I wouldn't even know if it's really a high reward because it's not like, I guess he could go out and light up and be dominant in the playoffs. If he does that, then that would be great. But it's a lower risk move. 2 years, $12 million. It's not like you're investing a ton in this guy. You're just asking him to give you a little production, do what he's done his whole career, and that's been a solid bench asset. Be a solid depth addition. So he's actually 32, but he's going to turn 33 on August 11th. So he'll be 33 for the start of next season. So technically, when this deal's finally pretty much done, it'll be like 35, 34, 35-ish. 35, actually. Well, yeah, almost, because then free agency, it all depends. But yeah, anyway, so let's get to some of his numbers here. Like was mentioned earlier, last season he averaged 10.8 points per game, 1.7 rebounds, not a great rebounder, 2.4 assists. You go throughout his career, he's played 739 games played. 57 of those were he started 57 of those games. He started one game last season. He's been a guy that comes off the bench. 19.8 minutes per game in his career. So like I said, a guy that's going to be able to give you about 20, although recently he's been able to give you more. 2017, 2018, he gave you 25 a game. Last season gave you almost 25, 24.8. 22, 23, so he's been able to be more, it's more in the earlier part of his career. That's where averages sometimes are a little hard to really average out, because in the beginning of his career, 11, 15, 16, 12, 3, he was getting much less minutes earlier in his career, but as he started to come along, especially with the Spurs, he got a lot more. So technically, most recently, he's probably averaging about 20, 23 minutes per game, but in his career, he averages about 20 minutes a game. Like I said, he's not going to shoot a ton, but he will shoot about 7.5 attempts per game. 3.2 of those will about go in, so about 3 of 7 average. Field goal percentage is 42.9, which is solid for a guy that comes off the bench. He has had some years where it's gone all the way up to 46 and 48. Those were back with the first couple years with the Spurs. Like I said, not going to shoot a ton from 3, about 4 attempts per game, but he will make 38.8% of those, which is pretty decent coming off the bench. Not amazing, not going to light you up like Curry, but he will come out and do some damage. And you actually look at the earlier in his career, he was much better from 3. 42, 40, 42, 50. So it was much better from 3 earlier in his career. But that's also later, more as his career has gone on, he's turned into more of an overall better player, not just relying on trying to score. Free throw percentage, 85.8. He'll get to the line and score. Like I said, assists average about 2.3 a game. He's not going to be an amazing at dishing out the ball or getting assists. He will pass, but one of the big things you're getting with him is you're getting a guy that's going to be able to get back on defense too. And his career is an 8.9 points per game guy. So he's had 5 seasons in his career where he's averaged over 10 points. 10 points or more. 10.3 points, 10.2, 10, 11.6 was 2019-2020, so he had a good year there, and 10.8. So it's kind of funny, too, because this is a guy, you look at his numbers, they haven't really decreased over the years. I mean, he had the highest points per game total in 2019-2020, 11.6 of his career. So he put up the most points there, and he only started one game, so it's not like he got any increased minutes, and he put up 22.5 minutes per game. If you could give me 10 points in 22 minutes, I would be very happy about that. That's all we're asking. You can give us 8 to 12 points in 22 minutes. That's what we're asking. That's exactly what we need out of Patty Mills. Some nights we might need more, but that's kind of the general thing that we need. And that's really what the Nets have needed this entire time. Just a guy that can go out, 20 to 23 minutes, quality minutes. You know, maybe his minutes might go down a little bit, maybe around 18 to 20, but still, he'll give you anywhere from that 17 to 22 range of minutes. He can go up and give you 25 if you need it, and 10 to 12 points. Just about that. He can do that. You look at some of the other seasons, too, where he might have averaged, I don't know, let's see. Boom, season where he averaged 15.7 minutes, he put about 7 points, which is right around the 8 mark. Season here where he averaged 20 minutes, he put up 8 points. Like I said, anywhere from like 8 to 12 points in 15 to 22 minutes. That's kind of what the Nets are looking for, and that's, I believe, what we get in Patty Mills. So, I like this move. Gives you some defense. It's not a move that we're going to throw a party for because it's a little bit of a smaller move. But I like the move. It's a depth addition. It's not a massive move going out and signing the biggest name player on the market, but it's an addition nonetheless, and the Nets, add what they need. And that's a solid depth addition bench asset to this team. They signed Patty Mills. So, and a guy, too, who's played a long time. 10 years with the Spurs, 2 with Portland, 12 total. This will be his 13th season. He's a veteran. He's done a lot in his career. So, you look at all those numbers, and he's done a lot. Alrighty, so that's what I got for Patty Mills and the Brooklyn Nets as the Nets make the signing here. A lot of other moves in free agency. Bulls signing DeMar DeRozan. Dennis Schroeder still available. Melo going to the Knicks. Melo going to the Lakers. Warriors extending Curry, which we'll get to in a second here. So, coming up next here, as I just mentioned, the Golden State Warriors have extended Stephen Curry. 4-year, $215 million deal. We'll get to this coming up next. Alrighty, so Stephen Curry, Warriors agree to 4-year, $215 million contract extension. So Stephen Curry just got a massive amount of money from the Golden State Warriors. This isn't no 3-year, $19 mil or 3-year, $12 mil. This is 4 years, $215 million contract extension from the Golden State Warriors as the Warriors lock up not just their best player right now, but probably their best player in franchise history, and arguably, you can make the argument, but the best shooter of all time in Stephen Curry. And this move is just a massive, massive deal for Stephen Curry. This isn't this isn't a small move. This is a big move. This is the Warriors investing in Stephen Curry yet again for another 4 years for him to go out and put up the production he has put up throughout his entire NBA career. And to be honest, Curry has shown no signs of slowing down, even though he is 33 years old. As a matter of fact, you can make the argument, last season, he had the best year of his career, putting up massive numbers with really no help. Klay Thompson not healthy, got injured with the torn Achilles. He had some guys like Andrew Wiggins and Wiseman and some guys in and out, Kelly Oubre. No one that amazing around him. He went out last season, took the Warriors to a play-in position. They weren't able to get into the playoffs, but nonetheless, he got them into the play-in position, and he was able to get the job done last season with the Golden State Warriors in a season where a lot of people expected them to be terrible. He kept the Warriors afloat. He kept that Warriors team from being here, here to just keeping their heads above water. If he went down at any point last year, they would have sunk without him. And he might have missed a couple games here and there, but they would have sunk without Curry. Curry last season, I think, realized he needed to step up. This is you could put on paper that coming off the wrist injury, coming off the terrible year that the Warriors had overall, Klay Thompson out, Curry out, obviously all the other guys that you're missing. Draymond Green did play a little bit last season, but he was out for the majority of the year. He realized last season, Stephen Curry realized that he needed to step up. He needed to make big plays, big time, shots. He realized he needed to be the best player he can be last season, and he did that. He had an amazing year. And you can make the argument, people still could. Jokic won the MVP, well-deserved. I agree with him in making the MVP. But you can make the argument Curry was right behind Jokic in the MVP voting. You could also say Lillard was in there. You could say Embiid was in there. You could even say Chris Paul was maybe on the outside looking in. You could say a lot of guys were in there. I do agree with Jokic winning MVP, but you could easily make the argument that Stephen Curry had an MVP caliber season last season with the way he shoots long range, the way he's on offense, the way he shoots more, the way he makes shots, all those stuff. I mean, he's just dominant. He's a dominant offensive force. Some of the shots that he makes are just amazing. And I got to admit, this is something that I have given up even trying to debate about. People always debate who's the best shooter of all time. Is it Ray Allen? You so many different guys in there. I'm not naming it any order whatsoever. But these are probably some of the top shooters of all time. I'm not naming them any order whatsoever. I'm just naming them off the top of my head. You could say Steve Nash. You could say Steve Kerr. You could say Larry Bird. You could say, Curry. You could say Ray Allen. Kyle Korver might be on the outside looking in. Maybe in the inside, Reggie Miller. There's so many different. There's so many big-time shooters. Like I said, I'm not putting them in any particular order. I just put a bunch of names out there. It's not in the right order because I named Steve Nash or Steve Kerr first, and I definitely would not say they're the best shooter of all time. Steve Kerr shot at a high clip, but he didn't shoot it much. When he shot, he made them, but he didn't put up 6, 7, 8 a game like some of these other guys. He put about 2 or 3. He was a rotational player on that Bulls team. So Curry, on the other hand, he shoots a lot. And I've always said this with the debate. I've always lived by my word. For my entire, ever since I really started watching sports and, really starting to know basketball and stuff like that, I've always said Ray Allen, best shooter of all time. I've always said that. Ray Allen, best shooter of all time. I talked about it earlier last year before the season. I said Ray Allen, best shooter of all time. I said it I said it all that. I've been saying it forever now. I think I even made a list once on the podcast, Ray Allen, best shooter of all time. But I don't think that anymore. Stephen Curry is the best shooter of all time. He is. You look at the numbers, you look at the shots he makes, you look at how far he is from the basket and he makes them. He makes defenses look silly. He does. You're looking at a guy that's arguably a top 5, top 3 player in the league right now. And last season, I think, showed a whole lot about Stephen Curry. He realized he needed to step up. He realized he needed to step up and make big plays. He realized that he was shorthanded. The Warriors last season, with some of their assets being gone, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green played a little bit, but he wasn't on the court much. He noticed, hey, we got a thin roll. We got a thin lineup, rotation rather. We got thin. This roster is not the same as what I was playing with a couple seasons ago. He realized that. He stepped up. He made big-time shots and big-time plays. It's only right that the Warriors go out and give him a massive extension after he went out and pretty much took the team, put him on his back, and took them to the play-in series. If Curry's not on that team wins 15 games most. 15 games most. That roster was not that good outside of Stephen Curry, which is why I actually could see the Warriors this season going out and getting a guy like a Siakam or someone like that. I know some people say Ben Simmons. I don't really think that's going to help him much. I really don't. I guess you could say defense, but I don't really think Ben Simmons would be a great fit for the Warriors. I just don't think Ben Simmons is that good of a player. I really don't. And people will always know that about me. I don't think Ben Simmons is that good. No matter where Ben Simmons go, I don't think it's a great move because I don't think Ben Simmons is a good player. No matter where he goes, whatever scheme he's in, whatever, offense or defense he's in, whatever team he's at, coach, franchise, whatever, I don't think Ben Simmons is that good. So even wherever he's going to go, I don't really think he's going to thrive there. So I don't know what moves the Warriors can make to build around Curry. You do get Klay back. Draymond, you got to hope stays healthy. And he obviously got Curry, and that's kind of your 3 main guys there. But outside of that, their roster's thin. So it only makes sense that the Warriors went out and signed Curry. And you could say, oh, is this a risky move? I don't think it's a risky move. Even though he's 33 years old, I don't think it's a risky move to go all in on him because they did it earlier in his career. They went all in on him. He's the first player, I believe, in NBA history to go out and have 2 $200 million contracts, extensions. He had one, I believe he just might have just got off one, and now he's back on another massive $200 million contract. So they already invested big time in him earlier in his career, and they're investing again on him in his career. And he wasn't even like a free agent this season. They went out and extended him. So I don't think it's a risky move. Yes, he's 33 years old, but he's shown throughout his career that he's actually gone better over his career. When he first came into the league, he was kind of a no-name. He wasn't really that big of a name. He was kind of a, just another guy. And then as he got older, as he started to learn more, as he started, kind of get into a bigger role with the Warriors, that was when he turned into one of the best players in the league. And that's when his name started to pop up with shooting and three-point contests and all that stuff. And last season, it showed that age is not getting in the way of Stephen Curry. He's 33, yes. He's been in the league for a little bit now, I understand. But age, he has not shown any signs of slowing down whatsoever. Now, this deal will lead him up until he's, 37? So then, if you want to re-sign him 4 years from now, that's a different story. Because then he'll be 37, and you'll have to see how he does. But I don't think it's a risky move at all. 33 years old. Last season, he showed no signs of slowing down. And the best shooter of all time gets paid yet again. And the best player on the roster. That's another thing, too. He's the best player on that roster. You take Curry out of that roster, that team is not the same. I think Klay Thompson's a very good player. He's not going to be able to lead that team. Draymond Green can play defense and all that. No, he's not going to be able to lead that team. Curry, you take him out of that roster, boom, and take him out, not going to be able to do it. The rest of that roster is not going to be the same. Now, I'm not saying Curry's going to single-handedly carry him to the finals. I don't believe he can do that. He's shown that. I will always stand by that. I don't know if Curry would ever be able to lead a team all by himself to the finals. Now, he did and win a finals. He did it the 1 year with the Warriors, but they blew that lead against the Cavs. I just don't know if he can do it, really. I know he did it the year before that, but I just don't know. But either way, you take Curry out of this roster, take him out of the lineup, this team looks completely different, and this team goes from, being a solid team to, oh gosh, they're down here, losing games left and right. So Stephen Curry, Warriors agreed a 4-year, $215 million contract extension. The face of the Golden State Warriors isn't going anywhere. The Warriors and Stephen Curry agreed to a new 4-year, $250 million contract extension Tuesday. Agent Jeff Austin told Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. Bobby Marks of ESPN provided a breakdown of Curry's deal. So breakdown of Curry's salary. So I want to read you this. 22-23, he'll get $48 million. 23-24, 2023-2024, he'll get $51.9 million. 2024-2025, he'll get $55.7 million. 2025-2026, he'll get $59.6 million. Rules of the CBA allows the first year salary to be 105% off the prior year's salary, even if it exceeds the maximum allowed, $41.6 million. The new deal makes Curry the first player in NBA history to sign 2 deals worth more than $200 million per Woj. The further solidifies the idea that Curry will play his entire career with the team that selected him out of Davidson with the number 7 overall pick of the 2009 NBA draft. He said before the 2020-2021 season that playing with the Warriors for his entire career was a huge goal, per Anthony Slater of The Athletic. The 33-year-old also revealed at the time that he and the Golden State had conversations about a potential extension, per Slater. It's just understanding what the landscape is and what the situation is going into the future, Curry continued. We want to be competitive. We want to be in a situation where we're competing for championships every single year. I want to be a part of it. Curry's previous contract expires following the 2021-22 campaign. He earned $43 million in 2021 and will receive $45.8 million in 2021-2022. It was a head-turning amount, but he is also the franchise cornerstone and a major reason the Warriors were able to build a modern-day dynasty that won 3 championships with him as one of its anchors. Him and KD obviously leading the way. He's arguably the best three-point shooter in NBA history and changed the game just by being on the floor because defenders have to pick him up 30-plus feet from the basket. That has opened up shots for the likes of Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, and others throughout the championship runs. Curry already has a Hall of Fame resume as a 3-time champion, 2-time league MVP, 7-time All-NBA selection, 2-time scoring champion, steals champion, and 7-time All-Star. It looks as if he will continue adding to it as a member of the Warriors for the foreseeable future following this deal. Like I said, the way he just shoot, you go watch him, he will just chuck up a shot from way behind the 3-point line. The 3-point line is that's not even his range. The 3-point line is half court for him. That's the 3-point line. It's ridiculous. And you even just go back to throughout his career, some of the shots he makes. I mean, I remember some of the buzzer beaters he makes. I remember the one buzzer beater he made against the Thunder. It was a little bit ago. It wasn't recently. It was more towards the beginning part of his career. That might have been the year where Kevin Durant was on the Thunder. That might have been his last season. But there was 3 seconds left. I think that might have been the 73-9 season for the Golden State Warriors. That year where they went 73-9, broke the Bulls record of best record in a regular season. Bulls obviously went 72-10 back when, in the 90s there. They, I believe 72-10, and then the Warriors broke it. They went 73-9. That was in 2015. That's when they blew the 3-1 series lead to the Cavs. But I remember watching the game, and you go look at the highlights. Look up Warriors, Thunder, Curry shot, or whatever. And he, 3 seconds left, got the ball and chucked it up pretty much from half court and made the shot. Buzzer beater for the win. So, he's definitely had some legendary moments throughout his career. He's made some more buzzer beaters. I remember this one buzzer. There's so many. I mean, I'm not lying. Look up Stephen Curry half court shots. I mean, he's made many throughout his career. Just has been a dominant asset throughout his career. And like I said, he's the cornerstone of the franchise. He's the face of the franchise. He's the guy. Not anyone else. He's the guy. So it only makes sense for them to sign him. And if there was any doubt about age, which I don't think there is, just look at his last season numbers and you'll see why. He led the league in points per game. Let's look at his last season numbers. 32 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 5.8 assists. He's played his entire career with the Warriors. 762 total games played, 756 games started, 34.3 minutes per game. He's a career 43.3 3-point percentage leader. 3-point percentage rather. 47.7 field goal percentage. Free throw percentage all the way up at 90.7, which is pretty crazy. In 2019-2020, I find this pretty funny. Even though he played only 5 games, he made all of his free throws in those 5 games. He's automatic from the free throw line. He is 90.7% from the free throw line. Like I said, he's a career 24.2 points per game guy. Last season, he had 32, which is the most he's ever put up in a season. And you look over the years, he's gotten better. First season, 17. Second season, 18, 14. Then 22, 24, 23, 30, 25, 26, 27, 20, 32. He's been way better, right? Ever since really his first 3 years in the league, he was kind of learning, growing, developing. Ever since that, 2012, 2013, 22 points per game, 24, 23, 30, 25, 26, 27, 20, and the last season, 32, which is a career high for him in a year. He's gotten better. And a guy, too, who can give you some big minutes, 34.3. And he can give you way more than that. You look at his game log, 40 minutes. These are just some of the games here, 37, 38. Some of the, a lot of these are wins, but you look at his game log, he can give you more than 34. He can get up to 40. He's done it. In crucial games though. I mean, you're not just gonna sit here and play Stephen Curry 40 minutes just because you want to. No, it's got to be under a certain situation. But either way, he can get up there and he can play a ton of minutes. I mean, I don't need to explain how good he is. We all know how good he is. We all know he's an excellent shooter. We all know he's, the greatest shooter of all time, and we all know he's the face of the franchise. So it makes sense for the Warriors to extend him, and Stephen Curry gets a big deal. So I wanted to get to this, then we can wrap up the podcast here with the New York Sports Update. So this is Curry's contract breakdown. 4 years, $215 million overall. That's obviously the deal. Per season, he'll get $53,750,000. Per game, he'll get $655,488. And per minute, so every minute he plays of an NBA game, he'll get paid $13,656. It's insane. It's unreal how big this contract is. And the Warriors are paying him. And they've already paid him, and they're paying him again. Because that's how that's how much he's meant to the franchise. It really is. It's wild. It really is. So, Stephen Curry gets paid Just another big breaking news headline in a crazy NBA free agency so far. Although he wasn't free agent, they just extended him though. But this is the time to do that. Alrighty, so let's get to the New York sports update here to finish off the podcast. You know what I saw before I do this? His contract's like Mike Trout. So Mike Trout's got a massive deal as well. And what's kind of funny is Mike Trout too, they like calculated it, like how much he's making in at bat. And it's unbelievable. Like, every at-bat Mike Trout has, it's, like, crazy amount of money he's making. And Mike Trout's contract, I believe, is even bigger. Although it's, like, 12 years. It's, like, 12, 13-something years rather than 4. But still, it's a lot of money. So it's kind of cool when you... And I know it's a lot of money. You know, some people might not like the whole massive deal stuff. It doesn't matter to me. Pay him as much as you want. This is... The whole thing is... It's pretty cool when you actually break it down and see per minute. I'm sure you can even break it down to per second. I'm sure. You know, same thing with Trout. You break it down from his entire contract to the season, to a game, to an at bat, to every inning, to an at bat. It's crazy. You could break down all the numbers. It's pretty cool. All right, so now let's get to the New York sports update. So yesterday the Astros won, Padres won, Diamondbacks won, Pirates won, Rockies won, Angels won, White Sox won, Braves won, Twins won, Tigers won, Mariners won, Blue Jays won, Marlins won, and Phillies won. Like I said, Mets lost yesterday 5-4. They moved to 55 and 51 on the season. So Mets are skidding right now, and it's not very good. Yankees won yesterday 13-1, so the Yankees moved to 57 and 49 on the season. You know, glad we got to win yesterday. Some big at-bats from a lot of guys. Everybody in the lineup except Gallo got a hit. But Gallo, he's getting good pieces. You just can't do anything about it. LeMahieu had 2 hits. Wade got a hit. Rizzo 2 hits. Judge 2 hits. Stanton with a big game. He had 2 hits and 4 RBIs. Sanchez 2 hits. Torres 2 hits. And Odor and Allen joining in on the hit parade as well. They got themselves a hit apiece. So a lot of great at-bats there. And like I said, you string together hits, good things are going to happen. I don't care what team it's against. You string together good hits, good things are going to happen. As for today, we got some afternoon baseball. Some teams are finishing up series. Reds, Twins, I'll give Reds the win. Rays, Mariners, give Rays the win. Brewers, Pirates, give Brewers the win. Padres, A's, give Padres the win. Phillies, Nationals, give Phillies the win. Blue Jays, Indians, give Blue Jays the win. Red Sox, Tigers, give Red Sox the win. Angels, Rangers, give Angels the win. White Sox, Royals, give White Sox the win. Cardinals, Braves, give Cardinals the win. Rockies, Cubs, give Rockies the win. Dodgers, Astros, give Dodgers the win. Giants, Diamondbacks, give Giants the win. 2 things to happen. Dodgers fans, even though they lost, they were throwing. They were playing the Astros for the first time since they got there. So since the cheating scandal, I believe it's the first time Houston's been back in front of the fans in LA. Although I think last season, if I remember correctly, they did play in Los Angeles, I believe, for the bubble in the for the MLB playoffs, but there was no fans, obviously. But either way, they're throwing around the trash can in the stands, which is pretty funny. And then another thing was the Phillies game. Obviously, Bryce Harper, former National. I remember the first time he went back to Washington. There was the boos and all that, and he had a really good game. Most recently, yesterday, he had a home run and he blew a kiss to the Nationals fans. So, it's crazy because you had all those years where Harper was the face of the franchise with the Washington Nationals. And that's how sports are. He leaves, goes to the Phillies, everyone's all upset, and now they're like oil and water. Harper and the Nationals, they're like oil and water. I also think some of the Nationals fans are upset with what they did with the deadline, and I don't blame them. I don't know why they went out and sold everything. They're still, they're not that far off from a playoff spot. They're not, and I'm not trying to be crazy here, but it's the truth. They're 6.5 back. It's not like they're crazy far off. Now they're going to continue to decline because they got nobody. But the Phillies, watch out. Phillies are 1.5 games back from the Mets. And the Mets, with them continuing to slide, watch out. And I've been saying this for a long time now. We'll get to the Mets here in a second. Whoever wins that division is in the playoffs. Whoever doesn't, you could finish in second. You're not making the playoffs. Because you got the Dodgers, Padres, or Giants. At least 2 of them are going to be in the wild card. That's the NL wild card. So you got to watch out. Alrighty, so let's get to this here. Mets, Marlins today. Mets come in this game 55-51. Marlins come in this game 46-61. This game goes on today, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find us on Bally Sports Florida and SNY. Mets got Carlos Carrasco on the mound. He's 0-0 with a 2.25 ERA. And the Marlins got Zach Thompson on the mound. He's 2-4 with a 2.33 ERA. The over-under for this game is 7.5. 57% of people think the Marlins will win. Give me the Marlins. I mean, they've won the first two of the series. Give me the Marlins. As for the Yankees and the Orioles, Yankees come in this game 57-49. Orioles come in this game 38-68. This game comes on today, 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Yes. The Orioles got Matt Harvey on the mound. He's 6-10 with a 6.20 ERA. And the Yankees got Jameson Taillon on the mound. He's 7-4 with a 4.11 ERA. The over-under for this game is 9.5. 81% of people think the Yankees will win. Give me the Yankees going for the series win. I think they will get the job done. And as for fantasy baseball, I'm currently winning 62-40. Today I've got going pretty much the same lineup, except I've made a couple changes, or one change. We'll see who's all starting, all that stuff. Will Smith, Matt Olson, Gene Segura, Austin Riley, Marcus Semien, Carlos Correa, Gene Segura, Jay Cronenworth. And your outfielders, Merrifield, Meadows, Margot, Whit Merrifield, Austin Meadows, Manuel Margot, Avisail Garcia, Josh Harrison. And I made one move here. I put Jesus Aguilar in the lineup. Franmil Reyes has been slumping a little bit recently. He's gotten 0 points in his last 3 games in fantasy. So, slumping a little bit. So I put Aguilar in there, who's been better recently. He got 4 points yesterday, 2 points. So he's been better in the past 2 games. And the Marlins seem to be hitting against the Mets, so might as well put him in. And today I've got Musgrove on the mound. Other than that, there is some injury updates to report. We got an update on Bregman. So Alex Bregman, manager Dusty Baker said that Bregman quadriceps hamstring is slated to play a full game at AAA Sugarland on Tuesday after being a late scratch from Monday's lineup, Chandler Rome of the Houston Chronicle reports. So this was reported yesterday, but Tuesday was yesterday. So he must have played a full game. There's no new updates there, but that's the newest update on him. So we'll see how that plays out. And other than that, then there's also an update on Yelich. Yelich will undergo COVID testing Wednesday and is expected to return from the COVID-19 injury list Thursday, assuming he clears protocols. Adam McCalvey of MLB.com reports. So that's a good sign to see he's coming back. Obviously for my roster and for the Brewers in general. And the Brewers, they've been playing good this season. They've been a good team. I regret I should have picked up Adrian Hauser yesterday. I knew it because the Pirates lineup, they stink. I ended up picking up Cueto, and I'm going to drop Cueto here probably soon. I just don't know who to pick up for Cueto. I'm trying to look at a reliever who hasn't pitched in a little bit, like a couple days, that could get in there today. But it's just risky because if you pick up a reliever and he blows it, then now you get negative points. Like, that's the one thing with pitching. Like, it's a high risk, high reward. You could put him in, he could have a terrible start, give you negative points, but he could also have an amazing start and give you all these points. You could say the same thing about hitting, about position players, but Franmil Reyes is struggling a little bit. He's got me 0 points. So it's not good that he's not getting me any points, but at least it's not negatives. Some guys can still give you negatives, but if some of these position players, a bad game for them could be 1 point. Still getting you a point. So pitching a little risky. This is kind of the first time I've really done so much with pitching, but now I finally got a spot in the rotation now that Glasnow is out where I can feel comfortable about picking up and dropping a guy without anyone else picking him up, because I don't think Johnny Cueto is going to be a very hot name when I get rid of him. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but he got me 3 points against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't think he's going to be a very big name if I drop him. So, and then I pick up another guy and start. Not many guys out there today that are available to start. Not many guys on waivers. Either people have them or it's just not worth it picking other guys up. But yeah, I've got Musgrove on the mound today, so I think I'm content. I don't think I need to go out and get another starting pitcher. And I was looking at the other person's lineup. He doesn't have a starting pitcher. I've got Musgrove on the mound, so I do have a starting pitcher. I think the goal is to get at least 1 or 2 starting pitchers each day. That's the goal. That will win you. That will win you games. So, But anyway, that's what I got for the podcast. Another good podcast in the books. Yankees, Orioles tonight. Mets, Marlins tonight as well. Mets just tried to go for the... Yankees go for the series win. Mets are trying to go for just to split the series and then make tomorrow's game... Not split the series, rather. Trying to win today's game, so then tomorrow's game they can go for the series split. And if they lose today, then tomorrow they're going to try not to get swept, trying to salvage the final game of the 4-game set. So the Yankees go for the series win today. I think we can get it done. We're facing against Harvey. Tyone's on the mound, so we'll see how that goes. And that will do it. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.